Welcome to a couple of bunkies. If you want to skip directly to the electrical part, please go to this point right here. A few years ago, a friend of mine gave us a used dust collector that wasn't working, and we got it running. Check out the link in the upper right hand corner to see that video. Since we had gotten the legacy ornamental mill, I've been keeping an eye out for a much better dust collecting system. I ended up finding one on Facebook Marketplace and reached out to the person to see if they'd be willing to make a deal. After first thinking that I failed, he ended up reaching back to me, agreeing to move forward with my offer. This semi-new dust collector is actually an older model of what they currently have. And sadly, it runs off of 220, which I currently don't have in the shop in the location I plan to keep it. So this should be no problem. I just have to buy a 2-pole standard trip switch breaker, some electrical wire, a 220 plug, and of course a housing for that plug. But when I checked out my breaker box, all of the spaces are taken up. And I know people are going to try to correct me on this, but because of this generator isolation switch, I can't use these two breakers over here. So I decided to set up the dust collector and see if I can transform it from 220 to 110. First, I attach the 4-inch Y adapter. Next, I pull up the filter bag and do a quick inspection. Then I attach the rod that holds up the bag by removing and attaching the rod to these two bolts on the outside and tightening it up. Now we get to the electrical portion of this video. Some motors can't be converted back and forth between 220 and 110, but you can find out if you can by removing this faceplate on the motor itself and checking the wiring guide on the inside. So it looks like this is something that I can do. So let's proceed. First, we need to take off this little piece of plastic on the front. Now, using the wiring diagram as a reference, I move the yellow to the red spot. We move the yellow wire to share the same screw as the red wire. The black wire shares the same screw as the white wire. And now we can go ahead and put this electrical panel back together. There's one last thing that needs to be done in order to make this transformation complete. I need to switch the 220 volt plug with a 110 plug. I loosen the two screws that's holding the wire on. Now I go to the face of the plug and remove the 3 screws on there. Now I can pull the face off and remove all of the screws that are holding the wires to the face. And the bottom just slides off. I can take apart the 110 plug the same way. Just remember to put it together in reverse order. Make sure to slide the back of the plug onto the wire first. These plugs are actually color coordinated. The green goes to the green ground cable. The black wire goes to the copper colored nut, although you're not able to see it very well from this picture. And the silver nut goes to the red wire. Now that all the wires are connected, you attach the face to the back of the plug and screw in the 3 screws in the front. And reattach the plastic bracket that holds the wires so they don't get pulled. And that's quite honestly all that you have to do in order to switch a motor from 220 to 110. Now I attach the 6-inch hose. Remember, if you're enjoying this video, please consider subscribing to our channel. We release a new video every week. Now I plug in this monstrosity to see how it runs. But first, let's roll this away from the house so it doesn't make too much noise. or to keep the fire outside the house if it blows up. Now here's that demonstration of the suction again with some dirt right next to the house. Now according to the chart, this should be about twice as much suction as I was getting from the older dust collector. But there are some benefits and some drawbacks to setting it up to run on 110 that may affect its efficiency. Now in the future, we may plan to upgrade our breaker box to a 200 amp breaker box. When that happens, I will go ahead and switch it back over to 220 and make a dedicated circuit just for this dust collector. Remember, if you enjoy DIY or how-to videos like this one, please consider subscribing to our channel. Ring the bell icon for notifications on future videos. And consider leaving a comment under this video, because I understand that this is kind of taboo from downgrading from 220 down to 110.